Good evening, everyone, and warm welcome to the Geo Institute Masterclass series on sports management. We are delighted to have you to join us for the session 3 of this 5-part series. Today's topic is what makes sports marketing different from the traditional marketing. In our earlier sessions, we have explored in session 1 understanding sports beyond the game, and in session 2 the evolution of sports as an industry in India. Today, we continue this journey with Dr. Keshav Gupta, Assistant Professor at the University of South Carolina, who will help us understand what sets sports marketing apart from the traditional marketing. We are pleased to welcome Dr. Keshav Gupta, Assistant Professor of Sports and Entertainment Management at the University of South Carolina, USA. Dr. Gupta holds a Ph.D. in Business Administration from Temple University, with his research focusing on gamification, esports, mobile gaming, user experience, and sponsorship. With prior industry experience at Star TV, where he contributed to the landmark projects such as Pro Kabaddi League and the Women's Kabaddi Challenge. Dr. Gupta brings a unique blend of academic expertise and practical insights into the evolving world of sports management. We are very thrilled to have him today with us to share his insights on the evolving dynamics of sports marketing and its growing impact on the global sports ecosystem. Over to you, Dr. Keshav.
Thanks. I'll first share the PowerPoint and then we can start
Sure.
discussing. One second.
Till the time Dr. Keshav is sharing the presentation, I would like to share with all the participants. During the session, if you have any questions to ask to our professor, you can definitely type in your questions in the Q&A section, which we will take at the last.
All right. Thanks. This session is about basically understanding why sports marketing is different from traditional marketing. Now, we all might have taken general marketing courses, or we might have at least heard about it or seen it in our day-to-day life. But generally, what I have seen in the industry and also reading all these books and research papers, there is a very distinctive difference between sports and non-sports commodities. So in this slides, I'll basically explain what that is and how India in itself differs from other countries when it comes to sports. So before we begin, let me just show you a quick video, and then after that, we basically start unwrapping the sports marketing landscape.
This is Anfield. These are our streets. These are our routines. This is our home. These are our Saturdays, our nights after school. These are our colors, our flags, our pubs, our gates, our mates, our crest, our words, which stand alone. This is the man who started it all, and this was his favorite place. This is the cop where we taught the rest how to sing. This is the pitch where we once watched the king. These are the stairs we walked up hand in hand, and these are the lights that light up the dark. These are the good times, and these are the bad times. This is what doubt looks like. This is how heartbreak feels. And this is how you fight back. This is refusing to know when you're down. This is support. This is community. This is solidarity. This is how you hold your head up high when the storm is all around you. This is how you fight for what you believe in when everyone else doubts you. This is the first time. This is the 100th time. These are the reasons to look forward to the end of the shift, to the end of the week, to the end of the storm. This is the team we'll always adore. For others it's sport, for us it's a way of life. They have a stadium, we have a home. They have songs, we have an anthem. They have a manager, we have a guardian. They have supporters, we are a family. We are Liverpool. This means more.
All right. So this is a promotional video by Liverpool, of course, but it kind of encompasses the gist of sports that we have that is there in our lives. By the way, is discussion online? Can students respond to questions?
Yes, they can.
Okay. So can anyone tell me what were the takeaways of this? Like when you see this, what do you think of sports in our day-to-day life? Like what does it represent?
Participants, you can type in the Q&A box.
Any thoughts? Like when you saw, what do you think people of Liverpool think of when they think of the team?
Mr. Vijit wrote a reflection of one's identity, perhaps.
All right. Yeah. So basically, they are focusing on their team. They are focusing on what. So that's something that we see in general marketing as well, where people who are trying to promote their own product will discuss about the product. In this case, we are seeing words like community drop in. We are seeing words like um, a way of living drop in. So basically, what they are trying to instill in their fans and what the fans would feel by themselves is how Liverpool team kind of takes away general worries of people at Saturday night, at Friday nights. They all come to the stadium, or they might go to their own local pubs and watch their games. It talks about all the community coming together. So this is what a sport team generally represents. Now, this is not just about Liverpool. It might be about any IPL team. It can be about any NBA team. It can be about India itself playing international game, and all of that kind of just brings something unique to sports. Now, before we dive into that, let's just do a comparison where we look at Liverpool and Colgate. Now, we all would have heard of Colgate, which is a basic dental hygiene product. Now, if you look at the years in which they were established, Liverpool was established in 1892, whereas Colgate was established in 1806. Now, that is even before Liverpool was established. But if I ask you the question, do you have an emotional loyalty towards Colgate? Can can anyone say if there is or there is none? Like if I say something bad about Colgate and I say Pepsodent is better, will you get angry about it? Will you get upset about it? Would you want to debate me about it?
People are writing no.
No, exactly, right? So Colgate basically doesn't bring in that kind of emotional aspect to things that sports team does. However, in sports, you'll see teams like fans really wanting to support their team. If their team is winning, they're really enthusiastic about it. If Colgate stocks go up, no one is really going out and celebrating. However, when it comes to teams, when teams lose, they feel happy, sad. When teams win, they feel happy. So all these emotions are part of sports, which we do not see in non-sport activities. Now, that is the first example that I can say is distinguishing sports from non-sports activities. Now, if you are marketing your product to your consumers, you need to be aware that you're marketing it to consumers who are really emotionally driven. Now, Colgate can do a small blunder and get away with it. If a sports team does a small blunder, their fans will maybe might not even forget them for it. Now, a very good example of this is this hasn't happened in India, but in US, one of the American football teams moved its city from one location to the other because they couldn't find more financing in that city. And that team had been in that city for the past 25 to 30 years. So there are people who stopped watching the sport altogether once the team left because they were like, I supported this team because this team represented my city. Now it's no longer there in my city. So it's not like my affinity will change to the team, change with the team in the new city, but I'll just stop watching the game altogether. So that kind of emotions run in sports, which you will not see in non-sport activities. Now, this leads to these important terminologies that we see in sports, and thus they impact sports marketing as well. One is called burgeoning, the other is called corfing. Now, berging is basically basking in reflected glory. So both the photos that you're seeing are from Brazil, and those are the fans of Brazil football team. Now you'll see berging happening when Brazil wins. So you'll suddenly see people really basking in the glory of their team, going out and celebrating. There might be a holiday as well declared next day. But on the other side, you see something called as scarfing, which is cutting off reflected failure, which means once your team loses, because you do not want to feel the pain, you kind of shift the responsibility to the team. Suddenly it's no longer about we lost, it's about the team lost. I don't know why the team did that. So suddenly you are hating the team but not yourself for it. However, when the team wins, you are loving yourself more for that win as well. Again, in instilling these concepts of how emotions run deep in sports, and thus marketing needs to be looked differently when it comes to sports products. Now, based on what we have just discussed, can anyone tell me one important thing or one most important thing that makes sports unique compared to any other product that we go out and buy? So you only see that in sports, you'll not see that in any other uh, product that we buy generally in a day-to-day life.
Entitlement, Himanshu Arora wrote.
Entitlement in what way?
Passion.
Passion, yeah. Passion is one thing. But I mean, I can say some people can be really passionate about uh, their, I don't know, something historic like their family uh, commodity that they might have had for a long period of time.
Yash wrote fans.
Yes, fans are an important part of sports, but what is it that makes it very, very distinctive from? In fact, you would stop watching sports if that thing wasn't there.
Himanshu Arora wrote entitlement, that I want my team to be the best. I feel entitled for it, but I don't care if Colgate stock goes up or down.
True, that's an important point as well. But one thing that and that is part of uniqueness of sport because that drives emotions. But a very fundamental principle that keeps sports away from non-sports activity is the fact that it is um, unpredictable. Now, the reason I said that if you take that out of sports, people will stop watching sports is exactly what happens when we get to know that matches are fixed. So if you know that the outcome of the game is predictable, and I know who's going to win the game, all these emotions just go away. You might love your team, and suddenly you get to know that, oh, this time it's decided that your team is going to come third in the leaderboard. Automatically, your emotional drive towards that team just goes away because there is nothing that keeps people hooked to sports other than this unpredictable aspect, which you do not see in other categories. You would not want to buy a car uh, knowing that, oh, I don't know whether the performance of the car is good or not. You want the performance to be good. You want that predictability in non-sport products. You want to buy a Toyota car knowing that it'll drive long distances at better mileage and not just take it out of the store and realize that after a kilometer or so it kind of just stopped working. However, in sports, that's the other side. The entire aspect of fun and entertainment in sport comes from the unpredictable aspect of sports, and also when the teams are very closely matched with each other, which makes it even more unpredictable. And that's where you see more entertainment and enjoyment amongst consumers. Apart from unpredictability, there is something that we have been constantly discussing since the first slide, which is summarized by these three photos. Can anyone tell me what these three images might be depicting?
Emotions, Sanvi
Yeah.
Mehta wrote.
Yeah. So these are emotions. What you see in sports, which makes it unique, which was also mentioned earlier by others, is that all these things that drive the notions like loyalty or entitlement, all of that is driven from this aspect of emotion. you will see very strong emotions in sport consumers compared to non-sport consumers. And again, all of these things, all these aspects that make sports unique is something that marketers in sports need to really hone on to, because if they forget this uniqueness or unique part of sports, they will not be able to market the sports the way they should be. In fact, a lot of people who do general marketing and then so when I used to work in Star Sports, we did hire people who were from MBA. Now they had to relearn a lot of things because the case studies they were taught on was more about Pepsi and Coca-Cola, and all of those things do not drive emotions as strongly as sports do. So they had to learn an entirely different ecosystem, which was again driven by emotions, unpredictability. So how do you market a product knowing that that product might fail the next day? So let's say you're marketing Mumbai Indians and tomorrow is Mumbai Indians game and they lose terribly. How do you market that sport to people and expect them to still love the team if next day the team's just going to lose? So those are all unique aspects of sports that make sports marketing unique. The other things that fall in is things like intangibility and experiential. Now, this is not as unique for sports, but sports is all about intangible experiences. You'll go to the stadium, you'll watch the game, or you'll watch the game on television or on your phones. And then once the game's done, the product's gone. It's not something that you can hold with you. You can't keep it next to your work desk and keep looking at it. So that experiential aspect is unique in sports. That is probably different when you go and buy a shoe or a t-shirt. Those are tangibles. You can touch them, hold them, you can keep them with yourself. Sports, once it's done, it's done. You can only remember it, but you can't really hold it, touch it, or kind of keep watching it again and again. The other part is that it's simultaneously produced and consumed. Now, what that means is a game that is happening on the field is being produced at the same time and consumed by you as a customer at the same time as well, which is something that is unique for sport. If you go and buy something from a merchandise store, or if you go to, let's say, even restaurant, the product that you're consuming is probably made half an hour back, 10 minutes back, or maybe months back as well. But sports is literally consumed the moment it is produced. The third one over here is the product has an off season as well. So if you look at all these um, league games or non-league games, they all have an off season. You'll always see the game not happening in some part of the years. Now that unique aspect brings in another challenge for marketers. How do you keep the consumers hooked onto the game or hooked onto the team when they're not playing for a long period of time? Now IPL happens not throughout the year, but for 3 months, I suppose. Now for the rest of the 9 months, how can you keep the consumers hooked onto your team when there is no game happening? Again, that brings that unique aspect of sport. And the last one is that it is socially consumed. Now, this is unique because other products may be consumed by themselves. You might buy something like you might go to a restaurant or go to a library or go shopping and purchase shoes just by yourself, but you will hardly watch a game just by yourself. You might be sitting by the TV by yourself, but you might be chatting with someone else while the game is happening as well. So there is this aspect of social aspect in sports consumption as well. Now, again, if you look at the Cricket World Cup that happened this time, the T20 World Cup that happened in the United States and West Indies this time, tickets for the India-Pakistan game went up to almost, I believe it was 80 lakhs. So almost 1 crore was the ticket price for one game. Now, why was that the case? That's because when people consume a sport, they consume it together. They hardly see the sport of cricket happen in United States. And for specifically Southeast Asians who live in US and do not watch the game, will suddenly be looking at their buddy and a friend and be like, you know what, let's just go watch this game. The tickets 80 lakhs, but when do we get that option? That might not happen if they were consuming it just by themselves. They might be like, I don't want to just go there and watch it by myself. But because sports has the social aspect, people do push each other into doing certain things. People do consume them together as well. So these are some of the unique aspects of sports that makes sports marketing very, very distinctive from non-sports activities. Now, I also discussed that I'll talk about how sports is unique culturally, which means how is sports consumed differently when we think of India versus if you think of rest of the world. I'm not even talking about just one country. I'm talking about countries within Europe, countries between US, North America, South America. All of them have sports consumption happening differently compared to India. So now to do that, I'll kind of go back to the history of sports, which was discussed in the last lectures as well, but it's a different way of kind of looking at it. So if you look at this timeline, these are when all the other countries or major countries started coming up with their own club formats. So I'm not talking about international formats, I'm talking about club formats. So if you look at the UK, in 1860s, the Football Association was formed. So there was already a governing body over football in UK in the late 1800s. By 1871, the rugby union was established. So now it wasn't just about football, it was about rugby as well. Around the same time in Japan, rugby again came in to the picture, and they had a legal governing body over it. And by 1876, the US had the Major League Baseball, which is one of their sports here. Their entire league was formed. So the Major League, it's kind of like IPL, but for baseball, that was founded in 1876. So that's almost 150 years of history just with baseball in US. If you look at Germany in 1900, the football Bundes was found, which was basically the football league, which is now called the Bundesliga. So that's 123 years, 125 years of history. And by 1920, the National Football League, so this is the American Football League, was established. Again, over 100 years of history. And now we see India's BCCI being formed, which is the governing body over cricket. So by the time the governing body of cricket was formed, and I'm not even talking about league structure, it's just the governing body, we are seeing countries like US, UK, Japan, Germany already established their own leagues in their own sports in those countries. And that just kept going on. By 1946, the US had the Basketball Association. By 63, the Bundesliga was launched, which was carried forward by the 1900s. In 1903, the J League, which is the professional football league in Japan, was formed. And then 2008 is when we start seeing India emerge up with this league structure in sports. So by the time India caught on, other countries already had like years and years of history in sports. Now, that if you take the lens out of India and see those countries, if, for example, let's say you grew up in Delhi, your great grandfather supported the Delhi team, your grandfather and grandmother supported the Delhi team, your parents supported the Delhi team, it is generally accepted that you would support the Delhi team as well. And research has shown that generally people want to support a team that carries forward a tradition within the family as well. In fact, research has shown that by the age of 5, in these countries, children start associating themselves with a team because their parents take them out for those games. So imagine going for a Mumbai Indians game when you are 5 years old and wearing those jerseys. It is probably very realistic to assume that by the time you're 2023, you would be supporting Mumbai irrespective of whether they're winning or losing. So this is the history of how people support teams outside of India. Now, marketers figuring out sports outside of India would be very, very aware of this concept. They would not want to disregard the aspect that people have a very, very historic relationship with their teams, which is why athletes do not play a significant role in these teams. They will literally send the athlete out of the team if the athlete doesn't align with their core concepts of the team. In fact, a very good example of this is that there was an athlete or a football player named Figo in Spain, and he was a part of Barcelona, which is one of the Spanish teams. And from Barcelona, he got transferred to Real Madrid, which is the arch rival of Barcelona. And because he decided to shift from Barcelona to Real Madrid, even though he was considered a hero in Barcelona, the next day he was basically demonized. In fact, when Real Madrid came to Barcelona to watch the game, to play the game, the fans were literally throwing pig heads, like heads of pigs on Figo while he was on the pitch, showcasing how basically dissatisfied and angry they were with an athlete. They would not change their loyalty to Real Madrid because they support Figo, they will stick to Barcelona and they'll literally shun off that athlete out of the team because of these years and years of history with the team. Now, if you look at India, we had sports around those times as well. It's not like we did not play sports. Our sports were more local. So kabaddi or kho, for example, were played in the local areas, but that was just played within the community. My dad would say that, oh, they would play kabaddi in school all the time. We didn't, but that's because it was just regional. It was played amongst the community. There were tournaments happening, but there were tournaments amongst a district or between some districts, but it wasn't on a national level. So no one was really supporting teams based on a league structure. They did support teams, but they supported their own local teams. Another thing to realize is that until the time we had colonization taking over, before that, all our sports mostly were contact sports. We did not have a lot of ball and bat concepts in India. We always played contact sports, meaning touch sports. Like kabaddi, you have to tackle a person, touch a person. Same with kho. So that was the general gist of sports in India. However, that started to change when colonization came in. So they brought in their own sports into India. They got football, cricket, hockey, all of them having a bat or a ball or just a ball as well. So that kind of changed how people were playing sports and started looking at different sports from a different perspective. What really changed the sports industry were these two images. Can anyone tell me what the image on the top is and what the image on the bottom is?
Mr. Surendra typed cricket. Vanshika typed 1983 World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about the bottom one?
1983 World Cup.
Yeah. What about the bottom picture? Yes.
Olympic medal
Olympic.
hockey.
Yes, Olympic medal hockey. So again, I can bet that a lot of people know the image on top, but not a lot of people know the image at the bottom. Again, I'll explain why that is. So the top one is the 1983 Cricket World Cup, which India won for the first time by defeating West Indies, something that changed the dimension or the landscape of cricket in India. The image at the bottom is from the 1936 Olympics, which happened in Germany. This was when Hitler was just coming to power. He had become the chancellor of Germany, and the final was between India and Germany. And I believe India defeated Germany 8-1 in the final. So that showed the strength that India had in field hockey by then. But something happened along the lines that suddenly led to the drop in fan following in hockey and an increase in fan following in cricket. We'll discuss that as well. So again, what we see in India is earlier there are no bat and ball games. There are only contact sports. And then suddenly the Western countries come in and they bring the bat and ball game. And then India has to relearn a new sport. It's not like they came and took kabaddi and kho international. It was the other way around, where they came in and obviously there was demonization saying that, oh, you guys do not know how to play. That led to us feeling inferior, and thus we wanted to imbibe their sport and be good at their sport. So we learned hockey, we learned cricket. So, but also the different thing was that we had to relearn these sports as well. So if you look at the Indian sports timeline, it kind of goes like this. If you look at the early 1900s, hockey was a much more fast-paced game where you were seeing constant action, constant, and there was a sense of contact sport as well. You had to be a little more physical, which Indians could relate with. However, cricket was considered a gentleman's sport. You had a tea break in the middle. It was a 5-day game, or 5-day game back then. There was a tea break, there was a lunch break. So it was more of a leisure sport on a competitive level than a fierce contact sport. So India automatically was able to relate with field hockey quicker than with cricket. And that's why we see in the Olympics, India won the first 5 consecutive gold medals in Olympics. So until 1952, we are seeing India win gold medals in Olympic hockey, whereas in cricket, there's nothing big happening in India. The first major thing that happened was that in 1952, India had their first 5-day victory against England. And again, England was our colonizer. So we had a huge sense of pride when India won their first ever game, and that was in England. They also won the first series over Pakistan. So suddenly, cricket started to get a sense of viewership. People did start reading about it, looking at it. They're like, oh, let's see what's going to happen in cricket. During the same time, India is still winning gold and silver. So 1960s was the first time India did not win a gold, but still India seemed to be dominating hockey. But what happened in 1960 was the first day, a one-day game was introduced in cricket. So suddenly, when India started getting good at Test cricket, another format of cricket was brought in, and that led to the drop in performance of India in cricket, because suddenly people were used to playing Test matches, and now it had become faster in pace, and India couldn't catch up to it. So suddenly, that momentum that was rising in cricket suddenly dropped because again India's performances dropped. However, in hockey, it was still going on. So if you ask your grandparents, they will talk about the golden days of hockey, because that is all that India was dominating. In fact, the only gold medals they would get in Olympics would be from the hockey team. And everyone knew how dominating we were. And that went on till 1972 again, winning golds and silvers and bronze. What happened in hockey in 1976 was the AstroTurf was introduced. So earlier it used to be a grass pitch, and after that the AstroTurf, which is the artificial turf, was brought in. That changed the way the game was performed in hockey. With grass, the game was very slow compared to AstroTurf, but it required a lot of dribbling and finesse, which Indians were really good at. In fact, in the 1936 Olympics, when India won 8-1, the captain, Major Dhyan was actually given a small stick by Hitler to kind of dribble, and that's a legend, but they say that he was able to dribble the entire team with just that one small stick, because Indians kind of were very good at that technique. But with AstroTurf, the game was less about controlling the ball, it was more about how fast it is. Suddenly, the defense went into attack very quick. Indians weren't used to it. There would be no one in defense by the time the ball would reach there, and the opponents would attack. Now, that was very appropriate for the Western countries, because they were fast paced in their they were more athletic as well. So suddenly those countries started dominating, and India's performance in hockey dropped, and that is why you do not hear anything about hockey after 1980. After 1980, India did not win any gold until recently. So suddenly, for the next 40 years, hockey was non-existent in international competitive sport. However, during the same time, India wins its first one-day World Cup, and the one-day format was there until 2007, and India was performing pretty well in that, and we were constantly competing with Pakistan and performing good with Pakistan. So suddenly, the cricket viewership started increasing, and hockey viewership started declining. Uh, India did win the bronze in 2020 and 2024. So again, we are seeing the rebirth of hockey and how people watch hockey, and so on and so forth. But the legacy of cricket has gone on, because when T20 came in, the first World Cup again was won by India. So you see that change in momentum happen between these two sports. Now, what really happened in 2000s, specifically 2008, was a sport that was considered like gentleman's sport, where people played slowly. One day was also not as fast paced. Really became a mixture of cricket and entertainment when India brought in the IPL. Now, IPL wasn't just about playing cricket, it was about a full-fledged entertainment. You'll go to stadiums, there were music. In fact, one day cricket started introducing music in the stadium after IPL really brought it in, because now entertainment has just become part of the sport. In fact, now what we see, because IPL was started so recently, that there is no history behind the teams as such, that people associate with the athletes more than the team, which is very different from non-Indian teams. Because we grew up watching 2007, watching Sehwag, Tendulkar, or Yuvraj Singh, and all these younger people who won the T20 World Cup, the moment the leagues were started, automatically our affinity went towards the team. Why do you think Chennai Super Kings still holds Dhoni, even though he's that old and not performing that well at times? It's because if Dhoni leaves, the fan following drops. Because we tend to associate our loyalty with an athlete compared to a team, because teams don't have that much history, but athletes have a lot of fame and a lot of glory. The same thing can be seen in soccer as well. So again, a short video that will kind of explain how the rise of national hockey on the international stage really brought in this ISL, and how the teams structure within the country has changed fan viewership as well.
Very disappointing performance by India.
Korea Republic have defeated India.
Bahrain have defeated India.
So Australia have defeated India 4-0.
What is holding us back?
A lot of soul searching that India has to do.
मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, हम सबकी कोशिश होनी चाहिए कि हम फुटबॉल को गांव-गांव, गली-गली हिंदुस्तान के हर कोने पर पहुंचाएं।
I'm sure India can be inspired to go on and conquer the world of football.
India's football team has finally cracked into the top 100 rankings in FIFA.
Come on, India! Let's football! Football league in the world.
Indian football has already scored a spectacular victory.
Going down with 𝘚𝘦𝘳𝘳𝘳𝘁𝘕 goal. He's a good. Oh, he's done it again! Absolutely stunned.
All right. So again, kind of showcasing how entertainment was brought into soccer or football as well, and how the league structures has really led to the grassroots level going up, and now we are seeing much more talent go up. Also, added factor is the revenue that it's generating, and thus the salaries that the athletes, or the earnings that the athletes can have, goes up, making it more aspirational for future athletes. Now, as we discussed, that we had these indigenous sports that existed before, that we had kind of just let go of, and we had just hooked on to these Western sports that had come in and started dominating those. When I was working in Star Sports, and I started working during the third season of Pro Kabaddi League, the whole idea was that can we rebring or bring back the sports that India was good at and kind of make them bigger. And we kind of just copied the formula of IPL, where it was entertainment, where it was music, where there was quick action. In fact, the benefit that Kabaddi had over cricket or soccer was that it was even quicker. It was 40 minutes game, 20 minutes and 20 minutes of action. And it was very, very fast paced, because it's 30 seconds of actions going on and on and on. So we knew that there are a lot of positive points of Kabaddi. Can we make it more entertaining? So we brought in other elements like the super tackle or super raids, which give extra points. So suddenly, to make it more engaging and fast paced, so to say. And that became a big success. In fact, Pro Kabaddi League is the second most watched league in India after IPL. So people do love it. People bring basically the older generation can relate to their history and kind of enjoy what they used to enjoy earlier on a bigger screen, and younger population can relate to the entertainment aspect of it and thus get hooked on to the game as well. What we also did was, alongside launching the first women's Kabaddi League, we also had the first World Cup of Kabaddi that was hosted in 2016. And for that, we had actually sent out our coaches to other countries to kind of train them in Kabaddi. And South Korea actually defeated India in the first game. So we saw that other teams have the potential to be much better at Kabaddi than India, which was also, in fact, we have added Kabaddi to the Asian Games and soon the pushes towards the Olympics as well. We had teams like Poland, Kenya, US, UK. All of these countries were part of the Kabaddi World Cup as well. So again, a very short video of what Kabaddi looks like if anyone hasn't watched. Again, the sport that we saw in that picture, which was played on the mud, is now kind of more filled with action and
I love that body language there. I love the speed, but I also brilliant! That is another super red. This is top class. This is unbelievable. 𝘕𝘓𝘳𝘳𝘓 is a superstar. Forget it on this man. His movement is incredible. For him to move is such.
So again, multiple camera actions. The flooring is much more cushiony. It's not played on mud. In fact, we had to train the athletes to be heroes for other potential, for fans and for potential athletes to come. So they were trained how to be in front of the camera. They were trained how to be more extrovertish than introvertish. So all of that led to designing the league in a different way. So marketing it was a different kind of challenge compared to IPL, where people were already loving the sport. Now we had to reignite the emotion towards Kabaddi, which was not there in IPL, so to say. Now, just to kind of move to the last parts, we are seeing India be part of multiple, or India have a lot of sports presence. India plays in the Olympics, Asian Games, Commonwealth Games. On a World Cup level, we do participate in Cricket World Cup, field hockey. We have participated in the Under-17 FIFA World Cup, and we had the Kabaddi World Cup. And on a domestic league stage, there are a lot of leagues that are coming up in India. So as a potential person who would want to work in the sports industry, there are a lot of avenues that are opening up. It is not like before 2008 where you really couldn't engage a lot in the sports industry. Now with domestic leagues coming up, there is a lot of potential to work on the grassroots level or in the league structures, or even if 2036 India wins the Olympic bid, then work for the Olympics as well. So a lot of these things are coming up. But one thing to focus on when we look at marketing, which is also important, is technology and sports. And I'll kind of end with this. The way the technology is evolving is impacting sports consumers tremendously. The attention span is going away and people are wanting to consume multiple sports at the same time. Has anyone heard of Apple Vision Pro?
Yes, people are typing in yes.
Okay, so a quick short video of how people actually consume sports using Apple Vision Pro. So it's a mixed reality headset, and this is how a person is basically recording themselves watch multiple sports on multiple screens.
Hey guys, just want to show you real quick how I enjoy my breakfast with the Apple Vision Pro. As you can see here, I'm watching 33 different NBA games at the exact same time, just covering my entire wall. In case I'm not getting enough dopamine hits over here, I can look over here and I got X. I can scroll X and I can like posts. As you see, it's very easy to scroll X on the Apple Vision Pro. Over here, I'm looking at my different scores. I'm checking out, how much money I'm making off fantasy, off sports betting. So, if I not get enough dopamine here, I'm not getting enough dopamine here. I'm not liking what I'm seeing from, Greg posting over here. I can get some more dopamine over here. And this is how I eat a bacon, egg, and cheese with ketchup and hot sauce. On my Apple Vision Pro there. So while you're watching YouTube while you eat on a tiny little iPhone 3GS, I'm here watching 100 different things at the same time. So enjoy your breakfast. Happy Saturday morning, everyone. We'll talk.
All right. So that's just an example of how people are really going to be consuming sports in the next 5 to 6 years as well. And this is not an exaggeration. It's just going to be the next reality. So again, as marketers, you need to be aware of these changes happening, which kind of adds another layer of marketing in sports. It's no longer just the uniqueness of sports, but how can this uniqueness of sports be honed on by technology and can be marketed to consumers for a much better experience of the sport as well. With that, I'll stop my lecture and now we can open up for questions if anyone has any.
Thank you so much, sir. The session was very insightful. Now I would request all the participants, they can type in their questions in Q&A box. We will take them one by one. We have first question from Vanshika. Can you just show in the sports trajectory of hockey and cricket once again? Vanshika, I can say that we have recorded the session and we will send you the session recording if sir you will allow, or else we can play that again as per your wish.
No, that can be shared.
So we have Ghanshyam Patel who is asking in Hindi, but he's asking about karate. So he's asking ki how the karate as a sports can be taken to the next level.
Okay. So karate in India is a very, very personalized sports. I would say it's kind of like tennis. If you have grown up playing it, then you are aware of it. If you haven't, then there is no association with it, which is very different from team sports. So if you look at team sports, even if you have not played a sport, there is enough action happening within the team that you might be able to engage in it. However, if you look at the blueprint that has worked in India, which is adding entertainment with or glamour with sports, people tend to at least get drawn towards it. It might not work, but it gets people's attentions hooked onto it. For example, the badminton league started off with the same formula, but it's not as famous as Kabaddi League is. One reason being because, again, it's a single athlete sport. It is not a team sport, but people were still drawn to it because they had star players like Sania Nehwal playing. They had a lot of entertainment in the amongst the crowd. It wasn't just like an Olympic game where there's quietness. There was still music and entertainment. So that can bring people to it. But to grow any sport, you need heroes. Currently, India doesn't have, or at least I am not aware of a karate hero. Soccer or football had Chetri when ISL came in, that people were at least aware of, that people were like, okay, I want to watch that athlete play and thus I'll watch Mumbai play. So creating heroes becomes the first thing. So that the first start to it can be karate is now introduced in the Olympics, I believe, or taekwondo. One of these two has been introduced. So making sure that there is more appeal towards that sport on a larger level, and once that happens, then you can really start using that as the crux or the anchor to building your entire league around those things.
Yeah. So we'll take another question. Sanvi Mehta, she want to ask, would you suggest if a specific course, certification or PG or UG should be done to enter sports marketing, or your passion for marketing and sports will be enough?
No, passion will never be enough. In fact, I will tell you another thing, that if you are passionate about Mumbai Indians, for example, and you do a marketing course, a sports marketing course, and you get the best grades, and you go in for an interview for Mumbai Indians, and they ask you a question where they're like, are you a Mumbai Indians fan? And you say yes, chances are that you will not get hired. Can anyone tell me why you will not get hired if you support a team? How many of you, if you support the team and you work for the team, would want to be eager to go and watch the game in the stadium than work? I bet all of us. and that's what they don't want. When I work for Pro Kabaddi, I hardly watch Pro Kabaddi games because I was working in operations, and I am required to make sure that everything is running smooth. If the entire employment or all the employees of that organization are just around the stadium watching the game, then the stadium is not going to function. So first of all, having the knowledge is very important, and it's kind of like any other course. Like if you want to become an electrical engineer, you will have to do engineering. You can learn through YouTube as well. I'm not saying you can't, but first of all, will people value it as credible? Maybe not, especially if everyone's doing it, unless you come up with your own concepts. Like Steve Jobs, he didn't need a university education, but he was able to create something phenomenal. But to enter an industry, people want to know that, okay, you know how to market a sport, so they need those concepts. And secondly, passion towards sports might not be the right route to get into sports industry as well, because a lot of times you might not get work in the sport that you love, and that should not dishearten you, because ultimately the sports industry is so small that if you do a phenomenal work in one location, your name gets transferred to the other location as well, and they might reach out to you as well. So if you love, let's say, cricket, it's not required for you to work in IPL. You might work in badminton league as well, because the operations of badminton league and IPL are going to be same. And if you do good operations work in IPL, in badminton league, IPL would not hesitate to reach out to you and be like, hey, can you do operations for us as well? So do not mix passion of sports with working in the sports industry. You will be disappointed. See it as a job because it's entertaining. It's definitely entertaining. I loved working in the sports industry, but do not think that you'll be able to stand there and watch each and every game. And I mean, I did get to interact with Abhishek Bachchan or Amitabh Bachchan or all these people, but that was just part of it. Like that's the fun of it. But if my whole idea of doing sports management and all that was because, oh, I really like Amitabh Bachchan or I really like these athletes and I want to meet them, it might not happen. And that should not be the sole purpose pushing you into the industry.
Correct. I think expectation set has to be right at the first.
Yeah.
We have another question from Vanshika. What is the future of sports management in India? Which particular sports has a greater potential in India right now and for the coming years?
I think the potential of sports management as a degree in India is growing rapidly. 2015-16 is when I joined the sports industry. There was one or two sports management courses, but they weren't well known. People would actually go to Australia to do sports management. But now we are seeing, since COVID or after COVID, a lot of sports management initiatives or colleges popping up. Geo is one example of that as well. In fact, the IIMs have realized the importance of sports management as a different discipline. So they will have extra classes, or not extra classes, but electives that people can choose, which is sports marketing and stuff like that. So they know that basic marketing is not enough to get into the sports industry. So sports management in India is definitely rising. In fact, it might also be appropriate to do sports management in India if you want to work in the Indian industry, because as I mentioned, the sports landscape in India is very different from the landscape in US, for example. So if you'll come here, they'll teach you concepts about what team history does to you. Whereas in India, if you go and promote team history, a Delhi fan would be like, what history are you talking about? 10 years? Like, I've only seen losses in Delhi. So for me, there is no history. So that's a very different dynamic in India. Regarding the sports that are to grow, I think IPL is going to be where it is. ISL has a big chance of growing further. Let's keep the leagues aside. The sport that requires the least amount of money to play is the sport that excels the most. If you can just pick up a ball and make goals out of your school bag, that sport will excel, which is soccer. So everyone can play soccer if required. For cricket, 22 people can play with one bat and one ball. However, hockey requires everyone to bring a hockey stick. Golf requires people to purchase golf kits, which is expensive, go to golf courses, which is expensive. So automatically a sport which is easily accessible to everyone is going to excel. Kabaddi excels because you can play it without anything. You can literally make a box on the ground and start playing kabaddi, which is why we need to look at sports from that aspect. If people can play it, that means all you can do or you are required to do is create heroes. And if you've created heroes or stars in a game, people would be like, hey, I am Chetri and I'm going to play like Chetri. It's kind of like I want to be playing like Messi. So heroes will allow you to only go out on the field and play, but the cheaper the sport is to play, the quicker it'll excel.
Great. Another question we have, with the digital engagement growing so fast, what skills do you think future sports marketeers will need the most?
Awareness, being up to date with what's happening in the industry, and definitely, I won't say the legal part of it, but at least being aware of um, what is ethical or not. Especially with new technologies coming up, they are growing so quickly that you just don't know what is ethical. A very good example is AI. People use AI unethically as well, not knowing that what they're doing is unethical. So at least keeping your eyes open and kind of reading as much as you can with new technologies coming. For example, the Vision Pro that I talked of, that's something big. Another example is basically AI that is growing, and there are so many different chatbots of AI coming in or bots of AI coming in. So being aware of what they're capable of doing can help you as a marketer as well, and kind of help consumers consume the sport in a much better fashion.
Great. Another question we have from Yash. Why Hockey League did not do well? Wanted to know what went wrong from marketing perspective.
Yeah. The thing is that, and this is my personal view, I don't know why a hockey league didn't do that great, but one thing can be the grassroots levels were not linked as well with hockey as they should have been. So hockey has its own established uh, league, kind of like we had the I League earlier. ISL came in. Why did ISL excel and I League was not that famous? Is purely because of the coverage. The coverage that ISL was getting, the backing that ISL was getting, I League did not have. But ISL was not oblivious to the fact that I League has got teams like Mohun Bagan, which has huge fan following, and they made sure that Mohun Bagan joined ISL, which is now part of ISL. So they know how to carry those tradition forward. So they know that Mohun Bagan has a tradition. People who are going to support Mohun Bagan are always going to support Mohun Bagan because it's got a history. So they were clever enough to kind of bring that in. That added the value of ISL. Hockey, we only had an international viewership of hockey. But again, when the Hockey League started, India had not won the 2 bronze medals that they won after in 2020 and 2024. So we did not know of stars. We did not know of heroes. It's kind of like the same question with karate. Can karate excel or not? We don't have heroes. So who will people look at? I bet no one knew the names of the 11 players in the Indian hockey team before they started winning those championships. Because why would you want to watch a sport that India doesn't play well at? So if Hockey League would have started just at the right time in 2020 or 2024, then they could have created an entire story about how hockey is coming back. We have a huge history and now we are coming back. And here you are in Delhi, support your team and support your league. So suddenly people would have done that. But because it was literally 1970s and 1980s and then nothing in hockey. And suddenly in 2010s, the hockey league comes. People are like, what hockey league? Why should... Maybe the older generation might have watched, which remembered India being great at hockey. But us youngsters, or I'm no longer a youngster, but kind of like us, were not like, what is hockey? Who is the star of hockey? We didn't know all those things.
Great. We have question from Neeraj. If the concept of league sports was around for so long, why did India take so long to rep the rewards of these formats?
I don't know. Lalit Modi kind of figured it out. That is, I have no idea what it could be. No, there's no reason. I don't know.
I
We just
agree.
decided. Yeah.
We can take the last question of the session. How do you think India should go ahead promoting other sports such as hockey and athletics?
Can you repeat the question?
How do you think India should go ahead promoting other sports such as hockey, athletics?
Again, stars. It's all about heroes. If you look at athletics, PT Usha, for example, people knew of because she did something. Same with Milkha Singh. He was able to do things that put India on a platform. And the thing is that very every country has a national pride, but India has a different kind of national pride. We had been oppressed for so long that we want to show our dominance in the sports field. If our athletes can do that amongst Europeans and Americans, we feel pride, which again I find questionable, but we have this undertone of, oh, we defeated the white people and that's why we are better at it, and then the sports excels. But that's how it is. It's kind of like the fairness industry in India. It's a billion-dollar industry and they capitalize on it. The sports industry capitalizes on the fact that we now have dominated in an international level, and thus we are credible enough to create a league around it or sport around it. So it is about waiting for the right time. If you work for the federation, then obviously funding more and giving more support. In fact, the good thing is with private sector coming in and supporting athletes, that's a very good initiative to, build those athletes up. So see, a lot of things happen behind screen which we don't see. If you come to Geo Institute, for example, you'll see athletes training every day. They will become famous once they win, but that's all the back end that's happening before that. So investing in these athletes is the biggest thing that can be done by the sports federations and sports organizations, because once they excel, then it's like a quick ramp up. Like shooting became famous after we won the gold in shooting in Olympics. And why did that person become famous? Because he actually took training from outside India, because India didn't have those facilities. So if we invest in facilities and we invest in athletes, then the sport industry, and which is what you're seeing in football, there is a strong grassroots level coming up. So probably in the next 10 years, you will have a person who was at 8-year-old be 18-year-old and be playing for the Indian national team. So it will take time. It's not a very instantaneous thing, but it is a slow process that requires a lot of investment of time and money.
That's come to an end for the session. Dr. Keshav's session was very insightful. In our Q&A box, people were praising about the session and the information they have gathered through this 40-minute session. And they told that the session is very engaging. The videos, the details which you have showed, actually, I think gave a lot of people an aspect to think about sports as a career also. And many people have wrote that. I want to give my regards to you that you have taken out time and delivered this session today. And as you mentioned, yes, people were asking about what are the options and careers in sports management. We do offer program in Geo Institute, which is a PGP in sports management. Feel free to visit our institute. As Sir told, athletes, which we see them day in, day out, they train from early morning 4 o'clock till the night, because that is their passion and they are delivering. And I think someday we'll see one of them as a Milkha Singh or some other Olympian who will make our country proud. Thank you so much, Keshav sir, and thank you so much all the participants for attending today's session.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.